warm welcome to ET Education Presents New Age Leadership Studio, sponsored by Google Cloud. I'm your host Divina Lasan, and this is the EdTech Advantage series. Today we spotlight a powerful transformation that is underway across India's higher education landscape: digital campus on Google Cloud. Now, as universities grapple with the fast-evolving expectations of modern learners as well as the operational demands of hybrid education, cloud-first strategies are becoming mission-critical. From reimagining classroom experiences to driving institutional efficiency as well as student engagement, get ready to explore how the cloud is not just supporting but also shaping the future of education in India. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome our very esteemed panelists today. Joining us, Meghdut Choudhury, Executive Director and Chief Innovation Officer, Techno India University. Dr. Prashant Bhalla, President, Manav Rachna Educational Institutes. And Vaibhav Kumar Srivastava, Head, Education and EdTechs, Google Cloud, India and SAARC. Right, gentlemen, a very warm welcome to ET Education. Thank you so much for being here. Such a pleasure to have you in studio today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. You know, we're here really to deep dive on a very fascinating topic, which is linked, of course, to the digital transformation that we're seeing in the educational space. And Vaibhav, I'd love to kickstart with you to understand the digital campus that Google Cloud offers today. We're going to discuss this in depth with the entire panel, but just to kickstart, to lay some foundation here, can you help us understand a bit about this initiative and how you're really pairing up and coupling up with Indian educational institutions to help progress the digital transformation that we are seeing very much go through these days?
Sure, thank you for asking that. So Digital Campus on Google Cloud is a program we launched almost a year back. And before I get to the program, let me just give you a bit of a context around why did we even do that. Google is at the helm of driving digital transformation in education since its inception. Learning has been our DNA, it has been our core. When we engage with universities and colleges and education institutes, we try to figure out and take feedback that what else can we do as an organization for the institutes. One constant feedback that we were getting was, can we do something which can actually enable students, make them more industry ready, make them more employable, get them more skilled. The other thing which we are getting is there a way we can associate with Google as a brand, because Google has been an aspirational brand for the universities and for the students per se. So when we was conceptualizing this program, we took all these pillars into the consideration, and we said that we will create a single window of engagement for education institutes to engage with Google and Google Cloud in particular. And that's how this whole program was designed. There are a few benefits which goes into, I don't want to steal thunders from my co-panelists, but I'll go maybe deeper into detail when we go deeper into the conversation.
Sure, yeah. Wonderful. So just to again get a bit of an overview, how are you today engaging with Indian educational institutions, helping them adapt to the digital campus? Just a bit of an overview.
So this is an invite-only program where anybody can come and reach out to us to sign up for a digital campus program, digital campus on Google Cloud. This is the second version we are running, so it's called DCGC 2.0. In that, when a college gives an application or university gives us an application, we evaluate on multiple parameters on how ready they are to embrace the digital transformation journey, and then go and engage with them. Give them Google tools to use, give them AI tools now for the students to engage with, and also give them access to a lot of skilling and course content for the students to get enabled and learners and learning. What also happens is that a lot of time we keep getting a feedback that we don't have enough tutors or teachers to even go and train them, right? So we also have a teach the trainer program as a part of the digital campus initiative. And the third and the last one is the most important one. We give them a way to affiliate or maybe engage with us to become like a partners to us to go deeper into the technological advancement at the campus.
Okay, wow, fascinating. Thank you. And yeah, absolutely looking forward to hearing from our guests now. Meghdut, coming to you, love to understand how Techno India University, which of course ultimately you're very well known for all the innovation that you bring to the table, digital transformation, which is what we're talking about. And I'm sure now in this generation, we're looking at loads of transformation through AI and so on. So how is Techno India really evolving today? How is digital campus on Google Cloud impacting your students? A little bit of your experience so far.
I think myself being a young person in education, which is not very common perhaps, I see the importance of exposure to technologies, to digital tools, and to just having a bigger and more broader view of the world, let's put it like that. So I think when we first became, we were one of the first partners to onboard DCGC, and on campus we could see that there was a very palpable excitement among students, that this was something that was available to them outside of what was on the curriculum, outside of anything that any of their peers across any universities were getting at that point. And I think that's what created that buzz which enabled such a high adoption rate amongst our students. At the very first go, I think with our pilot, we had 15,000 students sign up for DCGC, and that was just almost instantaneous. I think we drove the Google teams crazy. Our teams are very young. Right, so because I mean, I'm the oldest person on that team, if you think of the digital transformation team, and we drove them nuts. We wanted to make sure that our students got access to these technologies, and we also understood the importance of giving them a viewpoint into what the world of tomorrow would look like. We built an entire school around it. It's called the School of the Future at Techno India University, and this gave people a lot of access. Something very interesting happened, and I must talk about this. The way that international education has also been shaping up lately, there's been a lot of inhibitions for young people to leave the country and go. Right. Yes. India is becoming a hotbed of education because of that reason. If you look at the UK, there's a housing crisis. It's become prohibitively expensive. The US, of course, for political reasons, it's become difficult to go. Australia is facing issues with its degrees. Canada, there's, again, strife. So what will Indian students do? They want to still go abroad, study, but they can't do it. They want to do more premium programs. And then suddenly, because of our partnership with Google on DCGC, which was an equivalent of having a digital campus on their cloud, in their classrooms, they suddenly had an access to even run Google programs. Yes. And students could get this sort of premium programming in stuff that they're hearing about all the time. Everyone's talking about AI, ML, data science. Suddenly they could experience it in the classrooms and have people from Google come in and be part of their boot camps, their hackathons. And for them, this was like a dream come true. And thanks to, Vaibhav and his teams, every time I've challenged them on something, they've come out and how. Like, I remember they were on campus, and just as a joke, I think I said, hey, I would love to bring a whole bunch of students to your Google headquarters. And when I was a student at Stanford in Silicon Valley, I had a chance to go to the Google campus, and that changed my way of looking at how the world of tech works. I said, as a joke, I said, why don't we take our students there? And then Vaibhav was like, chalo, done.
Wow, fantastic.
And we actually took 10 students, 10 of our top performing students, took them to the Google headquarters and got them to present case studies, the projects that they were working on in front of the guys. Can you imagine what it does for a young first-year student to be able to talk about the work that they're doing in their classrooms at a place like a Google HQ? It's life-changing. And so from that perspective, I think we've done well. This is our second year of partnerships. We're signing up again for everything with Gemini, Notebook LM, all DCGC 2.0. We're also going to be one of the first adopters. And I'm just excited to see the sparkle in the students' eyes, I think, whenever we come up with new things like this. And that makes their journeys of learning a lot more attractive, a lot more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one can see is very palpable, the excitement in such curricula. I mean, as you mentioned, of course, you've had the visit to the Google headquarters, lots more innovation. So how are you seeing the scalability in all of this, right? Because definitely you're doing things that spark the interest and the excitement of the students. Is this a scalable process as well for you?
I think DCGC is definitely scalable because it's a suite of services that every single student who now also has an official Google workspace and they get access to the Google emails, etc. It's available to them as just something on their phones or on their computers. They just need to sign in with their Techno India education emails, right? So I think it's fairly scalable. We have across the Techno India group currently, we have about 100,000 students at any given point of time, which means we're just scratching the surface. I think we have a lot more to pilot. In terms of the full-time programs, I think that shouldn't be too scalable. It should be very exclusively available to the people who deserve to be part of it the most. And I think Vaibhav will probably agree on that. We don't want to make it available to everybody as well. But there is a scope for a lot more people to become part of this Google Techno India initiative that we are setting up. And I also must congratulate my GDG teams, the Google Developer Group teams in our campuses. They've been pushing for more adoption. They've created their own set of challenges, hackathons. They're constantly collaborating with the Google teams back at HQ and making sure that not just the stuff that's available on their Google workspace or as part of their whatever 80-90 apps that they get access to, they are using those apps or promoting the use of those apps amongst the student body on an everyday level, through challenges, through games, through workshops, and they find their unique ways of doing it. I think I'm already too old to figure out how to exactly get into the minds of those students, but these 20-year-olds, they talk a very different language. They speak in memes. So you've got to speak to them with memes, then they understand better.
Absolutely.
Then adoption, I guess, over time becomes easier.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll add a point there, right? And see, this whole program is very, very impact driven. It's very easy to give stuff, right, to the university, and there's a lot of takers who will come and say, okay, we want this. But what is that the outcome of this program is, right? And that's what we are trying to achieve with this program, which means how many students got skilled, how many students really got a final impact in terms of placements, how many students are now excited about being a Google developer kind of a thing, right? So this demand is increasing in the market, and we want to ensure that we are going to the universities who are really taking the best benefit out of this.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Prashant, yeah, let's get you in on this. Also, just hearing from what our speakers are saying, is it challenging to adapt to a cloud-first environment in the first place? We're looking at it from the students' perspective, but also from the teachers. As Vaibhav mentioned, there's a very important component here, which is the teacher training as well. So from a, once again, on-ground practical perspective, is this a challenge?
I think taking cue from what Vaibhav mentioned around the digital transformation bit, and I think this is one purpose, even the new education policy 2020 that came in, and that spoke about like the integration of vocational skills into education, and this actually aligns with that vision and that mission. And we at Manav Rachna also are committed to really reimagine education, and we are also one of the early adapters. Maybe Meghdut was the first one, so we would have been the second one. But yeah, we have adapted it, and one thing different we have done beyond like just implementing it in the existing student landscape is we have started some specialized programs. So we have started some specialized programs in computer science with generative AI, as well as BCA programs in cloud computing with Google Cloud. And there the students get that access, and they have the whole curriculum that has been developed is in synergy with the Google team. So I think that whole delivery is actually defined like that. So that makes it even more specialized for the students who adapt it. And I think coming to the point that you made regarding faculty. So faculty also have been part of taking part of in these initiatives of faculty development, the boot camps that they run. And I think if I recall, I think this year itself around 16 odd faculty got themselves trained, and they got some certifications for themselves. And then the access of Google tools, that has been very positive for them. And the whole campus is just not about academics, even the access to the Google Workplace for our administrative purposes. I think that also is something that gets you a big differentiator. And we have been in this space for the last 28 years and pioneers in this region and northern region. We have been having lots of industry partners in the past, but I think what Vaibhav mentioned, the Google brand and the name, that definitely is something that is a big attraction, and that's what we are seeing in the recruitments and the enrollments. The best students are looking at coming for these programs, and ultimately it also will lead to that outcome, which is like more industry driven with industry certification. And I think the key element today in education is about the programs that are co-created, co-delivered, and also co-certified by the industry. I think that's the key if you really look at the future of education, which needs to be more inclusive and more transformative in nature, and wherein I think there are no boundaries. And I keep hearing Meghdut and many other places also, and we keep discussing this Gen AI and what future holds for the students and the employability bit. I think that's again something that keeps coming up. So I think these programs which genuinely make them future ready are most important, and we are also doing our bit, and I think we have been able to do well in our 28 years of journey. And we are also in K-12 space. So there again, if you look at young minds, so he was mentioning 20-year-old, you see a young kid at a school and the way they are working on STEM, the way they are working on design thinking, the way they are working on labs and all these technologies, I think they are far ahead than even maybe the students at the higher ed. So I think there again there is a space for Google to explore more and even go beyond. That's what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a great point there, because of course ultimately employability is the end aim of every student. Vaibhav, some thoughts here, and how do you see such programs really impacting the student at the end of the day once they're done with the course?
Yeah, so when we give this access to the content, right, the student goes and does it on a self-based learning basis, right? So which means student has an access, they can find time to get skilled on the platform that we provide to them. But more than that, we also want to create some excitement on the campus, right? That there is something which is happening, which is bustling, as Meghdut mentioned. So we do hackathons on the campus. So we bring, as a part of this program, we also do physical hackathons where a Google team will go run the entire 24/7 kind of a, not 24/7, 24 hours, hackathon on the campus, get winners and maybe celebrate it on the campus. So that creates that excitement. And as I said, employability is important. We have seen that any developer or any student who gets certified on a Google certified course has commanded better, pay package from the placements, right? And that's what we are seeing. We as a company is growing at a very high growth rate, and which means there's a demand of Google engineers in the market. And that's what we are trying to, bridge that gap between the industry and the academia by doing these programs. And that's the crux of bridging this gap as much as possible, because what we have seen that irrespective of whatever a college or a university can make changes in the curriculum to keep them up to date, the technology is changing so fast that you can't catch up in real time. So this is an initiative which actually bridges that gap, gives access to what is required, what is changing. 2 years back or 3 years back when we would have spoken, maybe GenAI was just catching up, right? Yeah. Today it's the talk of the town, right? Now, if a university has to go and change the curriculum around GenAI, it might take a bit because there will be a batch which is in current, somebody is graduating. What we can do is we can quickly fix this gap by giving them skills around GenAI and see that if the student is ready. So even if we can't bridge the entire gap, even if we can close it to some extent, that's what we are intending to do.
Very aspirational programs ultimately for the students. Wonderful. Meghdut, coming back to you, do you also see that working in a cloud environment has a direct impact on, a bit of the back end, the administration, as Dr. Prashant mentioned, the infrastructure, decision-making processes? How does that end of the spectrum work?
Interesting you asked that. There was a fun thing that happened actually recently. So we run our exams mostly online at the university level. And we were, the last, I think was the end semester exams that just finished or mid-semester, I can't remember. And our CRM was down for a few days, right? It was on cloud. There was some issue with the software. And what the team did very fast in the university admin team, they switched to Google Classroom and conducted the entire examination overnight at changing it onto Google Classroom. I heard about this 2 days ago, by the way. This is very interesting. They were doing my...
I'm still not aware.
I see you don't know about it yet. You hear about it live. But just the fact that there was that possible backup option, and the university admin were empowered to take that decision themselves, innovate on the ground, and make sure that students at the end of the day don't suffer. And I don't even know if you're pushing Google Classroom that much, but maybe you should. I'm just saying this probably has a lot of potential. It's a very robust, backend. I'm not even getting into all the stuff that students are using, but for us, from a management perspective, it was just the best thing on the thing I saw. Finally, my job as a chief innovation officer for the group is validated that you guys were able to use a Google Classroom and make the most of the situation. And I also want to touch upon something that you said before about the future of education. It's not only technologies that shape the future of anything, it's also the people. The fact that, so Manav Rachna, and especially Prashant, has been at the helm of the Education Promotion Society of India. And during our last Edupreneurs meet, we actually discussed about the Google partnership. They onboarded it and took it over. There's a couple of other friends of ours also who went and took it, and we, at no point, I think in history before, as Indian educators, we have not been that collaborative. We believe that wherever we are, he's representing the North, there's our friends in the South, there are people in the West, we're in the East. There is no cannibalization here. There is so much possibility to give the students the best of what's available, so that tomorrow when we represent the country as a whole, right, we represent the future of India and our decade of hyper growth as we are being marked for, the fact that all of Indian education benefits, all of our young people benefit. Only then are we going to have India being showcased as the superpower that is. If students fall behind, then it will not be possible. The rate of adoption of technology just from the perspective of an education institution is a lot harder. They are the ones, with one announcement a couple of weeks ago, they've made every single other LLM, every other Gen AI company, just fall flat on their faces because they have progressed so much in that world. And things that we used to think were science fiction when we were younger, suddenly it's available to everybody. Like the live speech translator in multiple languages, what was that? That stuff that you've only seen on science fiction.
So I think they're seeing cloning happening through AI, I think, and like your clone like being in a panel with you and discussing.
That's yeah. I mean, if I had actually missed the flight, you might have
a clone sitting here doing this work for Meghdut, right?
Yeah.
I hope not. It might take my job one day.
Yeah.
No, so there is a lot of exciting stuff happening, on Google campus in our Mountain View office, and there's a lot of research. DeepMind is one of our very, very key investment areas where we work on. So this is just a beginning, right? As I said, there is a lot of things that NotebookLM, as Meghdut talked about. NotebookLM is today one of the best doubt-solving platform that you can pick up for a student, right? Yeah. Just bridge it up with, say, a JEE preparation or kind of a NEET preparation, right? It just fits in as seamlessly to become an assistant for a student, even if the student is, say, learning at 12 in the midnight, right? So that's the power of it. And none of these products are things which are very difficult to adopt. It is as simple, as seamlessly fits into any kind of an environment. So we are trying to get those access to the students as soon as possible. We will keep evolving this program. As I said, we are on the 2.0 version. Maybe we will be soon announcing 3.0. And we will have everything covered with the advancement of the technology that is happening across the globe.
Wow, fantastic, gentlemen. Thank you for sharing these examples. Dr. Prashant must get you in on this as well. Any examples you would like to share of how you've seen the student engagement or just overall enhancement of their experience of the curricula going up thanks to using Google Cloud and all the
one thing that Vaibhav mentioned about hackathons. So I think the recent example is the hackathon that Google did for girl students, and there I think one of our students, she was amongst the finalists, amongst the top 76 out of I think 58,000 plus I think participants across the country. So that was a sizable achievement coming in from a student, and that actually was the impact of all these things that were happening on ground. The exposure they were getting through all these tools, being a digital campus, a Google digital campus, and the benefits that accrued because of our faculty also supporting them in that role, because eventually like the whole environment has to be very much learner centric, and that support that the student gets, but then the faculty also needs to be very innovative, and we as educational institutions just can give them a platform wherein I think these partnerships are very, very crucial, and in today's context and in terms of the agility we are seeing and changes that are happening and rapid transformation happening, I think these partnerships would be really revolutionary, and I sincerely feel that this kind of like initiative should be scaled up, and the outcome would be really great for our country. And as what Meghdut mentioned, and some of the efforts we are doing in trying to like come together on this piece of really making sure that we as Indian institutions stand out in the worldly contest, and in terms of even the world rankings today, if you see, and how Indian universities are looked at, and we are seeing foreign universities coming in India, and lots of them looking at setting up campuses. So I think all this is very important in terms of making sure that we are close to what the student aspirations are, and we are able to give them that kind of platform and access and support, and wherein I think we have been trying to put in our best. That's what I would say.
Maybe I'll just add a point on the hackathon piece, which Dr. Prashant talked about, right? Hackathons today, when we give this, initiatives on the campus, we are just surprised by the kind of outcomes that the students are going to, they bring on the table, right? The winners, they typically are such out of the box thinking and the platforms that they develop, that it actually takes us on surprise at a lot of times. So what we are doing is we are trying to see how can we fuel that passion, that energy, that innovation, that creativity in the students' mind to bring them on the table, right? And that's all this program is about, to give them access to everything that they need to succeed in their lives and become more scalable and scalable, right?
Fantastic.
Actually, on the hackathon piece, I have to add the first hackathon that we had done with Google, the AI Unite hackathon. We saw an adoption from, of course, our own students, but we had decided to open it up for students outside as well. Okay. And we actually saw a lot of engagement from grassroots level, participation from various colleges and universities in tier 3, tier 4 towns. And on the finals, when the Google team were actually on campus to announce the winners, etc., whatever was happening, there were the students had flown in or taken trains and come to Calcutta and participated in those hackathons. And for them, a few of them said, this is what we do all the time. We, like our professional hackathon enthusiasts, we go and participate in hackathons, but never have we seen an organization like Google bringing its might onto it. And which is why, as a student, it's great for us. And for us, we were like, okay, well, it doesn't directly serve the student community of our own institutions, but hey, at the end of the day, if a greater mass of students get to participate in innovation at a campus level, learn, and even take back hard cash. I think the first winners, I think probably took like a check of 1 lakh rupees, along with a whole bunch of opportunities to get incubated with Google and support from GDG, etc. It was great. I think that's what education should be like. It's so much more hands-on today than it has ever been before, and I think it will only get even more so on that level.
Yeah, absolutely, Vaibhav. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Actually, you just put the words in my mouth for some closing comments I'd love to get from each of you of how you're seeing slowly the shift in higher education in India evolving. Could be in context of your organizations, and Vaibhav, to you, how is Google Cloud meeting these expectations?
So as I said, this program is one of the forefronts, to bring that on the table. And as Meghdut mentioned, tier 2, tier 3 cities, that's very important for us. So we are not making entry difficult to adopt this program. This program comes with 3 tiers. The lowest tier actually starts at 1,000 student plus, which means a campus which only has 1,000 students can also be a part of this program. Then we have the middle tier, which is 5,000 plus, and then we have the highest tier, which is 10,000 plus. This program will keep evolving. But the idea is to see what all can we do together to make this ecosystem very thriving, right? We are having these signups happening every day. We have got huge demand, which we see in the market. We're just trying to see how much can we fulfill, how much can we attach to them, and how many campuses can we onboard them. The idea is to keep doing this more and more, so that the ideal vision is that we get to a stage where most of the students today don't have, who don't have access to the tools and technologies that they should have, actually get that access as soon as possible, and they get skilled on their own, and whatever we can do as Google, we'll continue doing that.
Oh, fantastic. All the very best for all your initiatives.
Thank you.
Meghdut?
I think the way that I look at education now as I'm going to be 34 this year, and the way I look at education now, there has been a big shift even from the time that I got into the education space. I'll give you a quick little example. One of the best, or so quote-unquote best educational conferences I went to was happening in Kuala Lumpur. I'm not going to name the conference. And one of my biggest criticisms of the conference was there was a room of about 1,000 people having a conversation about the future of education. There was not one student inside those rooms, right? So if you delineate or alienate the student who's the primary customer itself, or the primary recipient of education, how are you making policy decisions on that? Today, the rate of pace of change of technology is so fast, it's not even possible for the teachers who've been there in the classrooms for 30 years, 40 years and claim to be, just knowing everything. It's not possible for them to keep up with that pace of change. It's only going to be student-led, and it's only going to get governed by, or self-governed. If older people are not able to adapt to it, then the younger people will figure out a way to do it. At the end of the day, in our classrooms today, our teachers are not competing with other teachers from other campuses. They are competing with influencers on Instagram. Students don't have the necessary, mindset or even the attention span to, watch anything that goes beyond 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So how are we going to end up teaching students what is required to be taught? For that, you need to be able to come up with innovative solutions using organizational tools like Google has every day, coming up with new things that gets the student excited in the classrooms. And I believe that that's the only way that we can make students also as much of a part of the educational story that pushes India forward. So hopefully an educational conference, if I've been thinking about doing this, again, open offer. I always do an open offer at the end of every meeting. We must do a Google innovation-led educational conference where students get to be a part of the decision-making, policy-making process, so that what happens in 5 years from now, the next batches when these ones are done, that should be the focus. And all of us, I think from EPSI, from all our individual institutions, I'm sure we would be able to contribute meaningfully to that and bring our entire student bodies, really redefine the future of education together.
Sure. Happy to look into it, for sure, yeah.
Fantastic. Some great innovations happening right here when
Yeah.
it comes to future of higher education in India. Thank you so much, Dr. Prashant.
I think what Meghdut mentioned, so at Manav Rachna, student centricity is one of our core values, and I think that is something that we really look forward in terms of our student participating in our decision making, and I think that's a big change that is needed in Indian institutions. In terms of, I think, the transformation, we started some of our online degree programs a few years back, and I think that's where we have been really able to develop some self-paced learning programs, which has really given us an edge, and that even led us to the Times Higher Education giving us a gold rating, and there are only 11 institutions in the country who were able to get it. So that is the kind of recognition we were able to get, and that's all just because of the kind of adaptation we have been able to do with technology, and the use of technology and these initiatives, as we have been discussing, are the key and most important ones to bring in that transformative change that everybody is looking at. And I think India, we've been seeing how we have been transforming. We talk about Viksit Bharat and becoming a developed country. I think education is the key, and most of the education in India, say in professional, I would say around 75 to 80% is in the hands of private. In totality also, I think around 60-65% is in the hands of private. So I think private education is important, and how private players who are there and people who are there as generations, like what Meghdut mentioned. So I am like a second generation. My father is the one who founded Manav Rachna. Maybe he is the second or third generation. My daughter also joined us, so he is a third generation. She's a third generation, and she was motivated by what she saw her grandfather build, and that's what motivated her to come back after finishing her studies from New York and NYU, and now she's off to do her masters from LSE. But the ultimate aim is to bring back the best from the world and then contribute here. I think that's what is a big change that I think the next generation can come in, and if the students can be involved more in all what we do, I think that will be a game changer for our country and for the whole education system.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to learn from leaders like yourselves about what the future of education looks like, the great impact that Google Cloud is having across the board, and just truly what the impact that students are facing, both as students but also probably as future leaders in this space. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on ET Studios.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of this insightful session on Digital Campus on Google Cloud. We've seen how cloud technologies are enabling universities to go beyond digital infrastructure and truly reimagine education. We hope this conversation sparks new ideas and collaborations in your own digital transformation journeys. All right, do stay tuned to ET Studios for more in-depth conversations from the world of education. Until next time, many thanks for watching.